Welcome back to Taking Time. I'm Jonathan. This is
Richard.
And today we got something a little different because something happened with SwissWatchExpo. That's pretty cool. So we're going to tell you about it. So something pretty cool just happened with SwissWatchExpo. We actually got featured in Forbes Travel. So today we're going to talk about travel watches.
Heck yeah! And if you want to read that article, the link is going to be in the description. So feel free to check that out. And they've featured a bunch of different watches that we haven't featured here. Obviously, we didn't want to piggyback completely off of what they were talking about. So we've got different versions of the travel watches that we like, and we've got them here. So we wanted to ask, by the way, we were looking at our recent videos, and before we get too much into this, we wanted to ask you guys a question because we wanted to get into the Tudors and the Omegas here. And we did a video last time that we just posted recently about entry level, or what would we call them?
Well, I mean, entry-level brands.
Entry-level brands.
So the non-usual suspects.
Right, like the Bell & Rosses, the Baume Merciers and things like that. We got a lot of engagement with that. A lot of people are like, hey, glad to see those brands featured. Yeah. What we want to know is tell us now if you want to see more of that. We talk a lot about Rolex and Omega, the big watches, big manufacturers. Let us know if you want to see more of that.
Yeah, different brands, stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not the usual suspects.
Right, yeah, exactly. And so speaking of that, so why don't we start with not the usual suspect and go with Tudor?
Okay, fine. We were going to do Omega first.
Okay, let's go do Omega.
No, you said Tudor, let's go Tudor. So yeah, we have the Tudor Pepsi GMT. Essentially 2018, caused a huge buzz in the watch world.
Right.
Came out with the 58 too around the same time. But anyways, yeah, this has been a hugely popular watch. Why does it make a great travel watch?
Well, mainly it's a GMT function. That's one of the biggest things that we've used to categorize the watches that we've chosen here, is it has to have a dual time function to be able to keep up with home time and local time. In this case, you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. I've always argued that Tudor, we used to work for an authorized dealer that sold Tudor when it first, reinstated in the United States. And bang for the buck, Tudor, hands down, is probably one of the best pieces you can get. Specifically this one because you wear one. Specifically this one because you do get the in-house movement, which is this is their second iteration of their first, of the in-house movement they first started putting in their watches after reinstating themselves in America. And you get a phenomenal buy. If you were to buy an in-house movement that's similar capability of this and Rolex, you're looking at what, a $12,000 piece nowadays?
Yeah.
Secondary market, at $10,000 primary market. It's an expensive watch. In this case, Tudor's not going to go above $6,000. In this case, we've got it listed for, I don't know, what do we got? $4,200.
Yeah.
And I think this one's actually unworn. So it's in phenomenal condition. But again, it's got the GMT function, so it keeps up with that date as well. So you can kind of keep track of where you're at.
Super understated too. 200 meters water resistance. I mean, it's cool to you got the 24-hour bezel. Right. I mean, like Richard said, in-house movement. It's sturdy as a rock. So essentially, you're going to be able to wear this like if you're crashing in a hotel room for the night, or you're going on a week trip, 2-week trip to wherever.
Yeah.
This is going to be able to go wherever you can go.
Absolutely. And one of the things I like about this most is the functionality of the date and the correlation with the GMT hand.
That's what you call a true GMT.
Yes, and I like this a lot. So I think when we teach people, especially new people that haven't really invested in these watches too much, we see that they're like, how do I set the date without screwing something up? In this case, you don't have to worry about that. You can't mess it up. You don't have to worry about trying to change the hour hand down below 6 o'clock or something like that to make sure you're not flipping it at midnight. So this one just adds a whole lot of convenience. You don't have to think about it.
Sorry about that. There was a little bit of a sound issue. But yeah, we were just finishing up with Tudor here, talking about the independent hour hand, also known as a true GMT.
Right.
Essentially, it's a little bit of a protection on the movement. You can set the individual local hour and the date at the same time. But it does make it, in my opinion, it makes it more convenient because you got to sit there and go around.
Well, if you're wearing it every day, you don't have to worry about it so much. But on a short month, obviously you got to move it around a little bit more. Yeah. But I do like the idea that it's basically dummy proof. You can't mess it up if you don't know how to set it, if you don't have the time to set it.
Yeah.
Right, let's move on to the Omega.
Let's move on to the Omega.
I think, if I had to talk about this one, it's probably one of the most capable watches I think I've seen. Now, at full retail, it's a little bit more expensive than we've got it here. Here, we've got it almost 50% off of retail. So in this case, it's probably one of the most inexpensive, capable watches I think I've ever seen for what you're getting. You're getting the in-house movement from Omega. It is the 9605, I believe. 9605. So this is a dual function. It's major capabilities. It's got your date. It's got your GMT. And it's got your chronograph function all in one setting. A lot of times you see these.
So you can time your flights.
Yeah, you can, exactly. Or if you're if you're horseback riding in the mountains of Spain, you can find out how much time you got left or something like that. I don't know. Just kind of, if you're traveling, just sort of thinking about that. Again, just one of the most capable watches I think I've ever seen in terms of traveling. One of the things that we used to decide whether or not these watches were good travel watches was, were they indescript? Were they something that not everybody's going to notice? And I think Omega kind of fits the bill on that. The only exception I would give to that is that it does have a big old honking case at 17.5 millimeters. It is a 43 millimeter
Bigger
case.
than my watch. My watch is a 41.
Yeah, so it's a big old honking watch, but it doesn't necessarily scream, "Come steal me." So if you're one of those people that
Come steal me.
come steal me.
I'm walking through the airport with a brick in my wrist.
Right. It's not. I think a lot of people come. We actually sold a watch to a couple the other day who was looking for a watch that they could travel with. That if they ended up needing to lose a watch, it wasn't one of their higher end Pateks or one of their higher end watches that they have. I think this one fits the bill very well. Very capable, again, just one of the most remarkable things that I've seen. The one thing the downfall I would say is that the GMT hand is this little bitty sub dial.
Yeah, but it's like a 24-hour indicator.
It is. Yeah, it's a 24-hour indicator, so it does take a little bit of effort to look at it and make sure you know exactly what time it is. A lot easier if it's actually on the center post with the rest of the hands. But other than that, I think that's probably the only downfall that I can give this one. Otherwise, it's just a really awesome
It's a chunky watch.
It is a chunky watch, but it's multi-purpose. You can dive with it, not dive with it, but it's 150 meter water resistance.
Yeah, so you can go swimming with it.
Yeah, you can certainly go swimming with it. Yeah, so you can go almost anywhere. Go to the beach. Again, go horseback riding in Spain. I think that'd be neat.
Horseback riding in Spain.
Horseback riding. That's what I want to do.
Clearly.
All right.
Okay.
What next?
Let's go to the Vacheron and my favorite piece of all time.
All right. Take the lead then.
It's blue dial, dual time, date, 150 meters of water resistance.
I think so, yeah. 150, yeah.
Full integrated bracelet,
60-hour power reserve.
60-hour power reserve, anti-magnetic, fully made by hand.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is phenomenal. 18 karat gold rotor. I mean, it's phenomenal.
The Wind Rose rotor that I found out about that. So it's a nautical symbol.
Gives you a point of reference for north, south, east, and west, but it's not, magnetized to go to true north or anything.
Yeah. So. The cool thing about this one, it's got a 22 karat gold rotor.
22 karat?
22 karat. 22. Yeah, it's 22. So
wow.
It's,
so it's 90.
It's got a little bit more weight. Exactly. Yep. So it's pretty incredible.
I thought it was 18.
No, it's 22. It's even printed right there on the outside of it.
Shows how much I paid attention.
If I can, I probably won't be able to show you that.
Yeah,
but it's right there on the edge there. Really neat watch. This is the third generation of the Overseas. Mm-hmm. So they came out with the dual time for this particular watch in the second generation, which was around 2004.
Yeah.
The dual time came out in 2006. And I think this one really meant its pinnacle at around 2016 when it came out with the Vacheron in-house movement. Mm-hmm. The previous models had, Gerard Perregaux and another brand that they were resourcing and kind of modifying those movements. But now it's a fully in-house movement, so that's really cool. This is the generation to buy if you're going to look into it.
Yeah.
This one's indicative. The part of the reason you can tell that is because the motif of the Maltese cross on the bezel used to be 8 points. Now it's 6 points. So that's how you kind of tell the difference between the second generation and third generation.
That, and it doesn't have the crown guards anymore either.
Right, yeah. I don't know, I kind of miss them, but it does add some symmetry to the case without them.
And it's a bigger case too.
It is. What size is it? It's a 41, I think?
42.
42? Okay,
yeah.
42.
And then another thing too, so besides the dual time system that's very easily accessible.
Right.
No, that's for the date, actually.
It is, right. I'm gonna click
so
on it anyway.
The watch itself that makes it pretty cool, in my opinion, besides being a travel watch, is that essentially they designed this watch and they give you the screwdriver for the actual links and everything. All the links are fully removable on this bracelet.
Yeah.
And then so you can get the absolute perfect fit, but you can interchange the bracelet with the strap without using any tools.
So each side of these has a 1.5 millimeter adjustment. So if you find yourselves, having a watch fit just right, and then you are in Spain on a horseback,
and it's hot,
just slam these out a little bit, and then you get the perfect fit again. And so it's just really neat. I think that function is really cool. Now, in terms of nondescript, this is not necessarily a nondescript watch. I think this is probably one of the more recognizable watches that people would see.
I don't know, because Vacheron in the last few years has just started picking up pace.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not as noticeable, or I would say like as recognizable as a Royal Oak or like a 5711.
I agree.
It's got that same sort of shape, yes, but like anybody that comes up, it's like, oh, that's not Patek.
Right. But, it's certainly something classy. You can have this at a fire on the side of the beach somewhere, like maybe in Italy. I'm trying to think of where I might want to wear this watch.
Where else other than Spain?
Somewhere else other than Spain. Maybe do a donkey ride in Italy. I think that'd be fun. All right, let's go to the Patek. The sort of what I might consider to be the ultimate watch. Very, very simple in this case. Probably the least complicated out of the ones we've got. But
I wouldn't say it's
also
necessarily
very capable.
It's the least complicated. I'd say it's the most complicated, but the easiest to use.
Right. Okay, I agree with that. Yeah.
Because of these unique pushers. Patek came out with this travel time type watch. So this is a manual wind watch. This is the only one out of the 4 that essentially is a manual wind. But yeah, this has a really cool feature. So essentially, you can set the local time very quickly, very easily by using these 2 side pushers. Right. And one goes forward, and it goes forward a full hour. And then the other, there's a 24-hour indicator that kind of acts as your minutes. Right. So you can essentially set, a local time or, a travel time or whatever, But this one's really cool because it's platinum.
Yeah, nice.
So you can tell that because it's the diamond.
Right. It's heavy. You still get the substantial weight of it. This is a hand-wound mechanical. Reference for this one is the the movement on this one is 511 0DT dual for nomenclature for dual time here. So you do have to manually wind this one, which I think is cool. Now I think on a travel trip you may not necessarily want to wind it, so that may be something that people don't like as much.
You're sitting at the airport.
Yeah. But you still get a substantial power reserve with this one. I think in terms of being a nondescript watch, it's low key. So you get the benefit of having a Patek, you get the benefit of having precious metal, but no one's going to look at your watch and be like, I know what that is. Yeah. I know what that is. So it does add that low key factor, but you still get to travel in class and style and have something that, people who know, like you talked about before, people who know. Yeah. But people who don't might just look at it as a different piece because it is very simple in design. I do love the symmetry that they've kind of put in this. I like the crown guard and how it kind of hugs the crown here, but it also almost sort of acts as a counterbalance to the pushers that we have on the 9 o'clock side. Yeah. So it's really cool.
It's a good design.
It is a good design. And of course you get your exhibition case back. So if you are at a bonfire on the beach somewhere, you can just take this watch off and be like, oh man, look at this. Look at the craftsmanship that Patek puts in these watches. So just a really cool watch to have. Of course, you can change these straps out for any occasion. Pretty easy for the most part. So if you wanted to change it for different, instead of a black tie affair, you wanted to put a brown strap, maybe something. Heck, be really creative and put it on a NATO. You ever seen that? You ever seen that?
I don't know about that. I think that's pushing it a bit far.
Question: would you ever put a Patek on a NATO?
Not
put it down in the
just
comment.
A Patek. Would you? It's platinum.
It is platinum, but
I don't put platinum on.
I'm curious.
A NATO.
If you would put a platinum Patek dual time Calatrava on a NATO strap, put it down in the comments.
You are insane.
Hey, different strokes for different folks. All right, so let's do the thing we always do. What's your favorite?
Vacheron.
Vacheron? Well, yeah, I kind of saw that coming. I think it's funny because I'm going to go with the Tudor. I like yours. I love this one. I just think it's a really cool watch. You get the experience curve of Rolex and Tudor. I know a lot of people want to separate Tudor from Rolex, but let's be real. Generally speaking, Tudor is going to benefit from all the resources that Rolex has because they are a subsidiary of them. They are the sister company. Rolex wants them to succeed, so they've got a lot of technology that's embedded in this watch that they didn't necessarily have to put money into to begin with, and that's part of the reason they can make an economic piece. I think
they design their own case.
Of course,
it's definitely its own thing.
It is. It is. But I just think it has a massive amount of travel functionality. And, it's got the date, it's got the time. Of course, you get the temporary third time zone. Whenever you set it, the GMT bidirectional bezel to find out what the local time zone is. You can actually get 3 time zones all at one time, temporarily. And of course, this is a case that you can change out straps very easily. So it's just a cool watch. Yeah, it's a cool watch,
and it's definitely fun looking. It's just like, I don't know, this just screams kind of like, especially for the higher end stuff, this just screams adventure to me.
It does.
It's like you wear this and it's like, let's go climb a mountain.
Right.
Or let's go hang out the lions in the Sahara, Savannah, Africa.
Or go horseback riding in Spain.
Okay.
Let us know in the comments what's your favorite out of all these. If you had a different one to choose, what would it be? Give us some engagement. Like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that jazz.
Give us a call.
SwissWatchExpo.com. And, of course, always, penny in the comments. Penny in the comments.
Yeah.
We
haven't gotten enough.
No, we haven't. We haven't gotten enough. Please give us more. So, catch you next time on Taking Time.